Well, hello and welcome to the very first edition of Tuesday Terrain Talks. So, let me tell you a little bit about what these new Tuesday episodes are going to focus on. As a life coach, I absolutely love helping people work on their thoughts and how their thoughts create results in their life, oftentimes results they don't want, but how we can take back power over that to change our thoughts and create results we do want, to change them to very believable thoughts and work through the way we train our mind to work. We literally rewire the brain so that we create the lives we want. And I love that. But as a nutrition coach and as a health coach and someone with a long history in health and nutrition and health sciences, I also absolutely love everything to do with what we do with our bodies to support our body's ability to heal. I want to start off by saying that in these Tuesday episodes, as I introduce you to new ideas, to some different protocols that support the body, to some different supplements that I've been exposed to and become aware of, to some genetic ideas and foods and things that may support the epigenetics, the turning on and the turning off of genes, again, to support your health. As we go into that in these shows, none of this should be taken as medical advice. I am not a licensed clinician. I am not a medical professional. I'm not a doctor. I am not a registered dietitian. This information that I'm going to give you is strictly for information purposes. And it's because I have learned so much about how we support the terrain, our body, the soil of our body. And in doing so, as we work to keep it so healthy on many, 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 many levels, then that in itself gives us the power to take back more control over our body so that we have more skin in the game, so to speak. So we're not just feeling at the mercy of cancer or at the mercy of pharmacological medicine. And I am by no means going to talk down about pharmacology. That is not what this is about. I just want to be able to share some of the information that I have gleaned that has helped me so much feel healthy, feel well, and that I'm able to use with my clients also to support them in their overall wellness. And I want to share more of that on this podcast to give you that exposure to some things that you can do to have more control over your wellness and to work on those thoughts about how much power you have and how much control you have over your health and the things that are happening in your body. So these Tuesday episodes are for informational purposes, and you should never start a new supplement, change a dietary protocol, or do anything that's really significant with what you put into your body without speaking to your licensed medical professional first, all right? Especially if you are in treatment, you are on medications, you want to avoid interactions, you want to avoid side effects, and we always want to keep you safe first and foremost. So as I go forward with these Tuesday Terrain Talks, know that it is for your information. I will post links to the things that I talk about if links are appropriate in certain episodes. And I encourage you to look at those links, read studies, print them out, and discuss them with your physician and use them to find maybe supporting physicians, meaning integrative professionals that can help support your standard of care as well. Because I think the more ways we approach our terrain, our bodies, and keeping our bodies healthy, the better it is for us, right? It's a really cool thing. So for this episode, I wanted to just this overview, kind of talk about the concept of deep health, of supporting the terrain. And what I mean by that, when we look at different ancient sciences, we call them holistic, right? We call them complementary therapies or alternative therapies, which I think is a damn shame because I think it should all be integrated therapies. Our body is whole and it encompasses so much more than just symptoms that can be treated with medications. We have spiritual aspects to our lives, relational aspects to our lives. And this is what deep health means. Deep health is a concept that I was introduced to through Precision Nutrition when I did my nutrition coaching certification with them. So deep health encompasses this full range of what we experience as human beings. It looks at all the facets of our life, including the relational facet, existentialism, mental, physical, emotional, and environmental factors in our lives. And I love how that aligns with what I was also trained in for 2.5 years in the science of Ayurveda, where we look at the energetics of the body and the lifestyle of a person, taking into account everything they do, not just what people eat and not just how much they move their body, but aligning with the metabolic approach to cancer and the studies I've done with Naisha Winters and continue to do with Naisha Winters and her Terrain 10, which also encompass having good blood sugar balance, having genetic, epigenetic, and nutrigenomic awareness, managing the toxic burden in your life. I can't wait to talk about toxic burden because I know that that's a really big issue. And it takes into consideration your immune system, your microbiome, so your gut health, managing inflammation, enhancing our blood circulation, while working on inhibiting angiogenesis, so new blood supply to tumors, as well as reducing metastasis, the spread of cancer to other tissues in the body. And she also looks at hormone balance, stress levels, biorhythms, and enhancing your mental and emotional well-being. And then that all aligns with, as if you listen to my podcast at all, aligns with one of the books that I love so much and an idol of mine, Kelly Turner, who talks in her book, Radical Remission, about the 10 healing factors. And I think it's really amazing when we look at all of these factors, whether they are in deep health or it is the Terrain 10 through the metabolic approach, or it is the radical remission approach of the 10 healing factors that have been seen and studied in so many people who have healed and had spontaneous remissions and radical remissions from cancer, that there's really only a couple of them that are really tangible, meaning like food and exercise. But there are a lot of non-tangibles, a lot of emotional components, relationship components, and thought components that have to be looked at and embraced. And constantly looking at our thoughts and where they limit us and where they open us to newer and better things in life, where our thoughts create opportunities for us rather than holding us back in life, and where our thoughts actually support our wellness rather than undermine our wellness, increase our stress level, and kick off that chain reaction of stress is increased, cortisol is increased, inflammation is increased, and then we start spinning out with our thoughts and we start heading for the Ben and Jerry's or the bag of chocolate or something like that and undermining our own health. So there are all these components to it. And I want to dig in even deeper to these healing factors. And that's why I think that incorporating these terrain talks, where I just focus really on different modalities that you can learn more about and that you can use to supplement and support your body and its ability to heal, whether you have active disease or not. And I think that's something that's so critical to think about. When you have been through breast cancer and you no longer have evidence of active disease in your body, yay, congratulations, fabulous, fantastic. But that doesn't mean that we just throw out all of the things that you do for yourself when we're in cancer treatment and we're really focused on doing everything we can to support our health. Sometimes, right? Because sometimes we're not even doing that while we're in treatment. Sometimes we're just so focused on trying to stay as normal as possible that we are directing our attention to what we thought of as normalcy rather than opening our mind to what we can learn and embrace and incorporate in our life to support healing, right? And that is one of the, what do you call it? The flags I wave, the staff I carry, that fighting and healing are like oil and water. They don't work well together. We don't want to fight our body. We want to support our body's ability to heal. We don't want to curse ourselves and hate ourselves and send hateful, negative energy to any cell in our body, whether that is a cell that has gone wrong and it's metabolically broken and we're calling it cancer, or whether it's a healthy cell. We send so many negative signals. And so it's important that we dig into that and make sure that we're sending the most positive signals to our body at all times, that we get a real understanding of the energy of our thoughts and the energy of our bodies and the energy of the food we put into it. I can distinctly remember, oh God, it makes me feel a little nauseous just thinking that I'm about to tell you this. But I can remember times, even as a child, at the dinner table when my parents were arguing or one of us kids were in trouble. And I can just remember how bad that felt. I mean, I was a kid, so I didn't understand that that was negative energy, but I just knew that I didn't want to eat anymore. But then I also knew that I had to eat, or otherwise I'd be in trouble too if I already wasn't the one in trouble, right? Because that was the rule in the house. You eat and you clean your plate. And that was part of my parents' belief systems. So fast forward, I can think about my marriages, my two very unhealthy marriages, and one in particular where my ex-husband was just so tied to what his beliefs of proper table behavior were, that it wasn't even enjoyable to have a meal, right? Sitting at the table with him present was not even enjoyable. Like you were sick to your stomach and stressed out over who he was watching and what he was going to say, and just the negative energy that could be felt. And I think back on how that affected my digestion, the digestion of my children. Yeah, you could tell there's a lot of thoughts I had to work through there, right? We have a choice between sitting in that environment and taking in food in a very negative fashion, or asking somebody negative to leave the table. Most of the time we take in the food in a negative fashion. How does that really feel? And I bet listening to this, many of you can identify with that. So when we talk about the things we can do that we have power over our health and our healing and our body's ability to heal, know that we're going to dig in so much deeper to all the factors of deep health, to all the factors of the Terrain 10. And that as we go through these Tuesday episodes, I'll not only share these concepts with you, but I'll share some solutions that are evidence-based, that are science-backed, that are shown to really have an impact in helping to turn off some genes that might be destructive. And we'll talk about epigenetics and how food, supplements, and lifestyle choices can deactivate certain genes that maybe aren't serving us well. Genes fortunately aren't written in stone. And just because we have them doesn't mean we will experience what science says, hey, this gene does this thing. Because we have another layer there. We've got an epigenetic layer, and that layer is kind of like a light switch of what turns on and off genes. And I've had extensive genetic reporting done, genetic analysis done, especially since my stage 4 diagnosis, to get a real understanding of what my body gravitates to, what I may have a predisposition for. And sometimes I see in those genetic reports, okay, that's true. I see there's a genetic predisposition here, and I'm experiencing the effects of that gene being turned on. So what can I do nutritionally and lifestyle-wise to turn it back off? How can I use the tool of epigenetics to turn it back off? And then I'll also see some genes that tell me I have predispositions for certain things, and I don't have any of those symptoms, and I don't experience anything that gene may be known to cause, right? And that's a good thing, and that reassures me on taking some steps in the right direction. And so there's so much great stuff to dig into when we're talking about our terrain, what we put in, on, and around our bodies, that I want to use these Tuesday episodes to dig in deep and give you even more ways to support yourself as you focus on healing and as you focus on supporting your body's ability to heal and to just live and believe in living a healthy life. Believe in knowing you can create a healthy life, and that is within your power to make that happen. So this is a little introductory episode to what you can expect as we move forward with Tuesday Terrain Talks. So make sure wherever you're listening to the Breast Cancer Recovery Coach podcast, you click follow or like or whatever it is, if you're on an Android or a smartphone, or if you're on Spotify or iHeartRadio or any of those things, so that you never miss an episode. And I'm so excited to share this information with you. So I'll talk to you again next week. And until then, please be good to yourself.